So if you're watching this video, you or someone you know has probably cut themselves and you're researching how to super glue yourself back together. I made this video because I know a little bit about this. I'm not a medical practitioner, but I'm going to tell you how I glue myself back together and give you some tips and stuff I've learned along the way. If you've got a really deep cut, make sure you go and see the doctor. Seek professional medical assistance. If it's like 2 centimeters deep, you'll probably want to go get stitches and get it checked out. So only if you have a shallow cut should you go and try to clean it and put a band-aid on it yourself. I was working on my car and I've got 2 scratches here. One that I've scraped off the skin, and then one where I've cut into the skin. So this drawing here kind of shows you when I've cut it off, and this drawing here shows you when you've cut a deep cut. And this is a deep cut as well. When you have a deep cut, it's okay to bond just the outside, close it together with super glue, and then you're good to go. If you have a scratch, don't even think about it. You can't super glue yourself back together. The best way to fix this is to use an antiseptic wipe or alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and some cotton swabs. Clean it, put some polysporin on it, and put a band-aid on it. If you want to use a waterproof band-aid, you can use that. Just don't put as much polysporin, or don't put any. But I like to put a little polysporin with vitamin E. Vitamin E helps you heal faster. So you'll want to change the band-aid every time you get it wet or every day. Now let's talk about super gluing yourself back together. Thin super glue and thick super glue and accelerator is not formulated to be used on your flesh, and all of these heat up when they come in contact with your flesh, which means it's going to kill the flesh. If you put it here, it'll kill the flesh, you'll bond it together, and now you'll have dead flesh inside your wound, and it's going to pus up, it's going to cause infections, it's not going to be good. The thin CA you can't use because it heats up a lot. The thick CA is a little slower, which means it bonds slower and it heats up less. If you want to use it against my recommendation, use a tiny bit on the outer surface and you can glue that back together, and it may kill some cells, but you got to beware not to touch your cells with it, not to touch your live flesh with it. And the accelerator accelerates these CAs and hardens them by heating them up. So never put these on your skin and hit it with accelerator. That'll heat it up, and that's no good. So now we've covered that, let's go on to an over-the-counter sort of fake skin, second skin they call it. This you can use, but it's very slow and it's very weak. I found that it doesn't work very well. But you can use that in the same way to heal up a deep, sharp cut. So now let's talk about super glue formulated for use on flesh. There's Durabond for humans, which is $200 a bottle, and they use it in hospitals. It's been certified for use on humans. That's why it costs so much. And here's Vetbond. It's basically Durabond, but formulated for animal use, veterinary use only. It's not certified for use on humans. That's why it's $20 a bottle instead of $200 a bottle. It works in the same way as Durabond. It's slower, and it's got antiseptic properties. So this can be used on your skin if you don't want to pay $200 a bottle. So let's get started. You can use cotton pads to clean yourself, or you can use Q-tips. So clean your cut, make sure there's no debris inside from your car or whatever you've cut yourself on. The Vetbond comes with an applicator tip. What I'm gonna do is use a band-aid. It's sterile, so use this edge to apply a thin layer along the outside, and then I'm gonna close it up by squeezing it together. My applicator tip fell off, so I just put some of this stuff on here. What I'm going to do is pick some of this glue up onto this little piece. Now it's on an edge. I can take that and paint the top edge of my cut, just like this. And now I can go and push it together with my fingers. Now just wait until it cures. It probably takes around 60 seconds, just to be safe. Now that it's glued together, you can take a little bit more and paint over it. Keep it pushed together, keep it nice and tight. The second layer will become your second skin over top of the cut, and it'll hold it together. Now you gotta be careful with that. When it hardens, it's pretty brittle and it'll crack. So if it's on a joint that bends a lot, it's gonna just crack and then you'll have a little opening. But that's alright because the rest of it's gonna hold together and it's gonna heal up. It'd be nice if they had a piece of cotton like this, or a piece of fabric like this, that you could cut to shape, put it over top, and then just super glue it on. Because that way it acts as a second skin. It really acts as a second skin. If they could develop something like that, that'd be great for use with Durabond or Vetbond. But they haven't done that yet. you could use a piece of fabric. So what I mean is, if they had a piece of fabric over here that they could glue on and hold it together, that'd be great, because then if you bend it, it won't break and it'll be flexible. So if they could just use something like this fabric, not have the other side be sticky, they could put that over top, put some vet bond on it, and that's your second skin. So if you got a really big cut, this would be a great way to put yourself back together within a day. So it's been about 2 minutes and this is hardened. So take a look here. Now you can use your thumb, and you gotta be careful with it because it's brittle, but you can use your thumb, bend it, and use it again. It's gonna heal up overnight basically, because it's a deep cut, but this flush, no matter how deep you cut it, it'll heal up overnight. It won't be 100%, but it'll allow you to just move it gently. Like if you do anything that pushes a lot on it, it could rip open again, but just be careful. Probably 2 days, it's good enough to use at 99%. So that's how you put yourself back together. Now you've got to treat this just like a scab. Make sure you treat it gently, and then within 3, 4, 5 days it'll slowly fall off, and underneath it'll be perfectly healed. Now with the second scrape, you can't super glue that at all or vet bond it. So you've got to clean it with rubbing alcohol. Make sure you let the alcohol evaporate. Use a little bit of polysporin, and then I will use a bandaid. You'll want to replace this every time it gets wet, or daily, or whenever it gets dirty. So there you go, that's how you heal your scrapes and your cuts. You can go out there and start working on your car again, or yard work, whatever you were up to before you went and cut yourself. 2 minutes and you're back in the game. So once again, I'm not a medical practitioner, I'm just letting you know how I put myself back together. Thanks for watching, and I hope that helps. It's the next morning, and as you can see, it's pretty much healed. If you feel it, it doesn't feel any discomfort at all, so you know that the flesh underneath has healed together, and all there is a little tiny scab on top, like you just got a scratch. Not a deep cut at all. Now you can get right back to work and do whatever you have to do. If this is a cut that's on the tips of your finger, you're gonna have to wait probably 2 days before you put any excessive force on it. 2 days is not bad for a deep cut. Normally if you put a band-aid over it and it stays open, it takes a much longer time to heal.